And good afternoon, folks. Welcome to bring you guys another video. This time here we're doing something different. We are talking about lasers. So sit back, relax, and of course enjoy the show.
I'm gonna have to rain down a godly firestorm on you.
And thank you for viewing this video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon above, and then of course hitting the bell icon to get notifications when the next video drops. So here we go. All right, we're talking about lasers. Now, lasers you're talking about? Okay, well, as you know, I have a Creality 3. Basically, I make miniatures and everything else, so that, you know, I've showed you guys a couple of things that I've made, a couple of designs that I've made and everything else, so that this is one of them. You'll see Stitch right here. Again, this was 3D printed. I designed it myself, so it's my own design of Stitch. So I was like, well, I have a 3D printer and everything else, so that I can use it to make little items like this, or actually bigger ones, masks for that. So cool. But I wanted to be more versatile. I have the unit. I wanted to be able to do other things. So I got myself, what laser should I get? Well, now in reality, you don't really have a lot of choices, because the ones that are specifically made, meaning that all you can have to do is plug it in and work, there's really only one choice, meaning that you don't have to make any modifications. You just plug it in, it works with the Ender 3, and you ain't got to do anything. And that was the Creality laser module. Now you see the laser module and everything else, so that again, this works. It's just a plug and play, meaning that you have your laser, comes with the things. It comes with the following items. It comes with the laser itself. It comes with what looks like a connector board, some glasses, and some wood to get you started. Basically, you get it in the 3. You have to take, now there's tutorials around how to take the board off. Basically, it's 3 screws, and that's it. It's not really complicated to get into the board. You're taking the fan one out. It's a blue and yellow cord. You're disconnecting that one, and you're connecting in. You can see the red and black cord in its place. You can't F it up. You know, you just take your time. You plug it in. Boom. That's it. Okay, now I bought one and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me do some tests. Now I'm going to show you a little clip of me, basically the test that I did and everything else of that, and then from there I'll get back to you on the rest. All right. I was basically going through my initial test and everything else, and then basically, of course, you got to set the laser up and so that, and you have to, you know, set it up. When you first started out, of course, it was basically too wide, and then you have to turn it to get it where it needs to be at. Again, I set it at 100, like it's supposed to be for height wise and everything else like that. And then I, you know, clamped it down, and I have my clamps on it and everything else like that. And I wanted to just do a test at 100%. So again, after this, you see this initial point, and then after that, I actually put it back on the thing to turning it so I get the right thing, and then you can see the fine line detail. Hopefully I got this right. The fine detail. So I decided, okay, let's do that, and let's go to a point where we could just going to go back and forth. Now, again, we are using a piece of, it's actually fairly thick and everything else that so I wanted to see if it would actually cut through this, because it said the laser's not powerful enough to cut through it. Okay, so I want you guys to check this out. So again, I was going just a couple of passes over. I'm saying it was going real slow to go over the passes and everything else like that. So I picked it up, check it out, and yeah. Now again, I have it on top of the board, and it started cutting through the board. So I'm like, okay, that's strange. I thought it was going to be that powerful. So I'm going to put it up to the light right here, and it cut through the, you can see, plainly see, it completely cut through this board right here. I mean, again, you can see the passes. You can see it's clearly cut completely through it like it was no problem at all. Okay. Well, now we know it can cut through thing. Again, you can see it from the backside clearly. Now, if you let it stay too long and everything else, it actually gets wider and burns through it and everything else like that. But literally, it cut through it. So when you're looking at this and the board says 1.6, but it says 1.6 at 12 volts. But since this is on a Creality 3 and end of 3, and this one is actually 24 volts, there's a little thing on it that says 4 watts for 24. So I was, and again, it doesn't give you no documentation anywhere to say is it actually 4 watts. Well, looking at this, it's actually 4 watts. So we're going to do a test on, well, in a minute, metal. Now it should do fairly nothing to this and everything else, because again, the way it's supposed to be, and so that at 1.6, it shouldn't be possible for you to really etch into metal at all and everything else, but at 4 watts, you might get a little bit of thing. So again, I put 2 coats of polish on and everything else, and that's the one to see what it's going to do. So let's check it out. Okay, you just seen the test. And after the test, I'm like, I had already designed something for my wife to do for a wallet and everything else like that. So I proceeded to, again, burn it into a wallet that I was designing, that I've already designed, so that way she can have it for her birthday. Now the test worked on, let's go back to full screen. Now again, the test worked. You can see it here. The test worked on the test print right here. Sorry, right here. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can put this on the wallet and everything else to that. You know, again, I tested it here first after the initial setup that you've seen, did the test and started up like normal. It started to burn. Now again, this is leather. It went halfway through it, and then it got halfway through, and basically what happened, you smelled smoke. And I'm not talking about from laser burning. You smelled smoke from the Ender 3. I'm like, oh crap. Okay, that's bad. Really bad. So shut it off and everything else to that. And you see this right here? It's basically a buck converter. This buck converter burned out. Now I'm going to show you a picture of mine. All right, now again, you've seen the board itself and everything else, and then I want you to look here. I'm going to enlarge it for you so that way you'll see it. You see it right here? You see the burn mark? Literally, this was on fire. You can see where it literally burnt out this whole section right here. That's why it's blackened right here. Now again, this is inside of your Ender 3. This is where the Ender 3 main computer is and everything else that is plugged into the fan spot. This is right here. After one full use to do, again, this test here. Oops, sorry, my hand's on it. One full use after doing this test here, in the middle of burning into a leather bag, it got a halfway thing, and this, again, you see smoke. Turn the enter real quick so that, make sure no fire and everything else like that. Boom, done. Oof. Now, if you did research like I did and everything else, so that you notice that I went through I never look at the positive reviews and everything else. I always look at the 1-star reviews, the negatives, so you can see where the failure is going to be and everything else like that. So let's look at the customer images. Now again, you can just see right here, burnout is in the exact same location. It's like, hello? The same chip burns out every time. And again, you see, it worked after a few short jobs, then lost power. I mean, Creality, really? I mean, this is again another person, same burnout, same chip, same area. La Mal. So yeah, that was fun. Now there's a workaround around it, everything else of that. You can fix this yourself because Creality basically is, it's the laser itself. Again, as you've seen in the video, the short clip video that I did when I was testing it out, it's even though it says it's 1.6 in power and everything else of that, it was able to cut through a piece of wood that was 3 millimeters thick. Now again, this is a softer wood and everything else, and it's not the hardest of wood in the world and everything else, but it was able to cut through a 3 mil piece of wood quite easily, and it's able to etch metal. I'm going to show you a small clip right here of it etching metal. The laser will actually click on. Now again, I'm just doing it at one section right here. Then we're going to move it over just a little bit. Now I do have my glasses on. I just wanted to do a quick test to see what it's going to do. Then we're going to move this over a little bit more. Again, again, it's not supposed to be able to etch metal. So again, we're going to go like this. We're going to hit control. We're going to temperature and set the fan speed back to off and everything else like that, and just for a quick little test. Okay, so it's off. I'm going to take my glasses off and everything else, and now again, what we're going to do right now today is just scratch off the excess. I'm going to sit you guys right here for a second. Now you can plainly see right here where it's sat on the longest. You've seen it etch metal and everything else, so it's capable of etching metal. Now again, this is not going to be, it's not really deep into the metal. This is not really, if it's some soft metals like aluminum, things like that, or they can cut through it, again, as long as it's not shiny and everything else. So that's why I had to paint it first. But it is capable of cutting through metals. The problem is the laser itself. I'm going to show you the other aspect of it. In order to get it to cut right, you have to do this. You have to go through a calibration thing that, again, this is in the individual software that you have to use to make the calibration so you can actually print it right. Because if not, it'll come out, well, like this, where it's super fuzzy. Oh, it'll cut an outline perfectly. But when it's time to do, basically, if you're trying to do infills or anything else like that, or if you're trying to, put words, there it is. You're trying to put words and everything else like that, the dispersion pattern is so, crappy, turn out right, that it's basically unforgiving that you can't use it. You have to go into and again, I'm hoping that you're using of the free programs for that to do it with, so you can, but there is paid ones, and I actually recommend that you actually use Lightburn, because I'm not they're not my sponsor and everything else to that. I'm not getting paid for it, but they have an option inside of Lightburn that made it easy for me to go inside and basically fine tune the laser so it'll actually be accurate. I'm going to bring out a separate video on how to fine tune it so you'll actually get, your prints can go from hot garbage to being legible. It's not as simple as, you just load a picture inside it and it just goes. A lot of people have shown you that, but that's not how it works. So I'm going to go back to what I feel about the Creality's laser. The laser itself, meaning that the actual component of the laser itself, very good. Now again, this is my initial impression of it. The initial impression of it, that the laser, meaning how this actually burnt wood, metal, leather, things of that nature, it can do it quite well. Again, I'm going to show you where I used it to burn through leather. So the laser itself, nice. The problem is the connection to it, meaning that the buck converter that comes with it is actual junk. So since the buck converter is junk and everything else, it basically makes the laser useless. Now, there is a way to fix this. It basically comes down to you actually having to do this. You would have to basically buy a actual buck converter that is actually, I'm going to call it heavy duty. Now, the wiring of this, unfortunately, is basically makes it so the way you have to wire it in, you have to wire it into the main part of your board and then just take one of the leads off to actually send the signal to the laser itself in order for it to be accurate. But if you have to do all of that to get this done, basically to make the laser reliable, then at that point you might as well go on Amazon and find any of the basically 5-watt lasers that are being sold around to basically do the same thing, because you're still going to have to make it's going to come with a better connection. It's going to actually have a way to connect into the mains power and get the signal from the fan to run it. So if you already have to basically if you're buying the cheap one and you have to convert it over with a new buckboard to make it work anyway, and you still have to hook it to mains power, what's the point? At that point, you're better off just doing it the other way. Buying something a little bit better and just going and have a higher power laser to make it work. Now, this is what I'm thinking about everything else. If I had to rate the laser itself as the purchase for the $59, it's an absolute fail. Because if something you use it one time and it's dead, and then you're looking at multiple complaints about the exact same issue at the exact same place, you would figure Creality at this point would actually fix the issue. But they don't. They haven't. So that's how I feel about it. So again, we're going to bring you some more laser videos in future. We're going to show you some things actually getting cut. We're going to go show you some things getting designed, and we're actually going to show you how to actually operate the program that I use to do the laser. So that's all for now. This is Warp on the D saying warp out, have fun. We catch you guys on the next one.